007 First Light Tactical Simulator is a separate series of optional challenges and missions. It's a second game mode where James Bond can do replayable operations and escalations. Basically, little tests of skill where players can just enjoy the game without the context of narrative and unlock new outfits, gadgets, and weapons along the way. The TacSim, or the Immersive Agent Training and Tactical Simulator, is an optional game mode picked from the main menu or from Q's basement at certain points in the story of 007 First Light, in which James Bond can do various stealth and combat challenges, as well as training tutorials that explain certain gameplay mechanics that the game otherwise doesn't tell you, whether it's throwing a simple punch or learning how to grab rush and use enemies to cushion your fall. So don't be like me and finish the story first before you check out this game mode, only to figure out you wish you would have known a lot of these techniques earlier throughout the story. Make sure you check out the TacSim. The TacSim mode unlocks after you complete the very first mission against all odds. However, more challenges within it are locked behind story progression, so you'll be able to get more out of the TacSim mode the more you progress with the campaign. So it's recommended you play both modes hand in hand, and as you play TacSim, you'll unlock intel and raise your clearance level by playing through challenges with escalating difficulties like the training, the tests, and showdown that introduce the challenges and let you practice them before a final tough conclusion. Intel is a currency earned by completing TacSim missions and optional challenges within those missions. You can spend it to unlock new 007 First Light outfits, gadgets, weapons, and upgrades to bring with you into other TacSim missions. Clearance represents your overall progress in TacSim, effectively your level, and certain intel purchases are gated behind higher clearance level. For example, you can't buy the missile pen until clearance level 15. There's a total of 5 escalations as for now, starting with Advanced Tactical Training, where the simulation will test your abilities under real fire. You will be tasked with completing a series of exercises that will become more difficult as you progress. For example, in Tier 1, opponents are very easy and mostly won't react to you. But when you progress to Tier 2, game changes will be added. Game changes force you to adjust your game plan as non-compliance results into a fail. Game changes can also be positive, like when finishers grant gadget resources. Then there's combat training, where you will learn that there's more than just comboing your light and heavy attacks. 2 light attacks into a hold light attack, for example, is a gut punch. And while we know there's a button for grabbing enemies, what you learn here is holding it close to a fence makes you able to throw them over. There's Lord of Rust, where you need to eliminate all hostiles in the area. These missions make you focus in preventing NPCs from calling in reinforcements as you work on your stealth game. Then you got Assault, which makes you focus on everything you've learned beforehand and apply it into an actual mission. You'll also learn how to get max value out of your gadgets. And then there's Arctic Skies, where you learn to use your combat skills and or traps to make NPCs fly off the platform into the skies. Besides the escalations, which can be considered tutorials, you also got operations. These are actual mission simulations where everything is being put to the test with specific game changes, like only being able to use your own sidearm so that every bullet matters. This makes you reconsider if and when you use your firearms and when to save ammo, making you more aware of your weapon management. Another one is where your Q lens is disabled and you can't scan the area. These missions are very similar towards some campaign missions. It's recommended you check out the escalations first and then put everything you learned to the test in the operations. I started the campaign on medium difficulty, then hopped into TacSim to prepare for another story run on the hardest difficulty. The nice thing about these missions is that the license to kill system adds nuance to its escalating action, as Bond won't shoot an unarmed man. So the game is not all about shooting, which is good, because neither is Bond, unless he becomes vulnerable and turns into his darker Gemini. And with the Bluff, Lure, and Takedown system, we get the perfect opportunity to see all aspects of Bond's character. Charm, the ability to blend in, yet because of their heavy instinct cost, they aren't going to be used much, which makes you lean back to the stealth part of the game. As already mentioned, Bluffs and Luring cost instinct. Instinct can be earned over time. Your level of instinct will be displayed in the meter on your watch in the bottom left of your screen, while the cost of the bluff and the lure will be displayed at the bottom middle when you are able to perform one. Let's start with takedowns. Since these are arguably the most common tactic you will use to take down enemies in 007 First Light, and you can often use them right after you alert an enemy to your position, or if you bluff after you're getting spotted. During stealth sections, takedowns are the best used on single target outside other enemies' line of sight. If a single target has their back to you, you can approach them from behind and close in to perform a takedown. Similarly, you can perform a takedown of an enemy below when approaching a ledge and then pressing the takedown button. If you are behind cover that is low enough to mantle, you can perform a cover takedown. You can use a lure or distraction to bring the enemy close if they are too far away. If that doesn't work and an enemy is out of reach, you can stagger them by throwing a nearby item or weapon that is low on ammo. Or you can stagger them with your dart phone, so you can close in on them to perform a takedown. Bluffs are definitely the least used mechanic in 007 First Light, thanks to their heavy instinct cost. Bluffs are primarily used in portions where you are trespassing and will often be used on other NPCs, guards, and enemies. For example, if you find yourself walking up to an NPC or guard and they call out to you, you can hit bluff to come up with an explanation, allowing you to walk right past them without getting into a fight or being sent out of the area. Or, if they are isolated, you can use it to buy time to get close and just chain it into a takedown instead. It's important to note, however, that watchers cannot be bluffed. Also, the bluff effect will wear off, indicated via the icon above the NPC's head. Luring is another mechanic which should be used sparingly, and it's almost exclusively used in stealth playthroughs. Just like bluffs, they cost instinct. They also aren't always necessary, as sabotaging nearby items like radios, generators, and other objects can achieve the same effect. That being said, to lure, simply look at the enemy you would like to lure and hit the button. Bond will call out and the enemy will often come check out the situation. This mechanic comes in handy when you're trying to get a target out of line of sight of other enemies for a stealthy takedown, to distract one enemy or a group and move them to another location so you can sneak around, or to bring an enemy just out of reach closer for a quick takedown. I pretty much wiped out the TacSim. I've done every challenge on every mission. It's super fun, but I'm definitely looking forward to more. Developer IO Interactive have already confirmed that TacSim will be getting more content updates in the future, including racetracks based around the Valhalla spy car, which is super exciting, and I can't wait to tear up those tires and speed through tracks in my own Aston Martin. Some may find the game mode a little underwhelming, but in my opinion, I think this is just fine for starters. The story is amazing and actually makes you feel like this is the first worthy successor since GoldenEye 1997. So starting out with a very basic mode is totally fine by me. I'll spend my time using the techniques I learned to beat the story on highest difficulty while waiting. Let's not forget that Hitman was constantly updating with content, so I'm very hopeful that they'll flesh out TacSim as well.